Hello everyone. I know you didn't want to see my ugly mug this evening, but apparently we're having technical difficulties. Let me know if you can see and hear me okay. And I am fiddling with everything all over the place.
Ugly mug's okay. See and hear clearly.
Why am I getting echo? So you can see and hear me, you're not losing me, and everything's fine. Okay. Here we go. This is...
No breathing, no breathing. Hey, that's good news.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put up a picture, and Hannah will broadcast to you via over the phone, because we're just that cool.
Okay.
So you can hear her in the background. Give me just a second. Hold up, Hannah. Little stressed right now. Give me just a minute. And we thank you all for your patience. And I don't want this on this time. Let's see. Pretty little picture for you to look at. We'll go with this. Okay. Look at that. Okay, we'll go to the microphone. Now, you should be able to hear me and you should be seeing a picture. Please let me know if that is the case. Yes, we have cool elven Jews. Thank you. Let me know, so you can see the picture and you can hear me. Okay, good. Are you still there, Hannah?
I'm still here. Can everybody hear me?
Okay, I'm unplugged. Hold on, let me get my phone. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Talk. Go ahead and talk.
Go ahead and talk. Okay, can anybody hear me now? Hopefully, broadcasting live. I'm not seeing any response on the screen.
Yes, they can hear you.
Okay, yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, since I wanted to speak on blessings this evening, because we see a lot of blessing going on in the Torah, I suppose that one way, obviously it's not supposed, it's an obviously one way that Torah sends blessings, the blessings manifest in our life, is through technology. There are bad sides to technology, we all know, but technology can also be a blessing. And in such situation, people who know technology very well, like Addi, can be a blessing to us, because it's people like Addi who help keep all of us connected to each other. So this is one of the good blessings. But blessings don't always come out for good. When Jacob blessed Joseph, Jacob said, "Joseph is an ass. Searchers bitterly assail him, shooting at him and harrying him." But by the time we get to Moses, Moses says to Jacob, "His land is blessed by God. Majesty is his, and his glory will be like the horns of a reem, a deer, with which he shall knit nations together." blessings coming from via Moses to Joseph. Yes, Rebecca, I agree. Addi is a rock star. Yes, indeed. So what do you think of blessings? Put some opinions on Joseph's father blessing him the way he did, and then we turn around and we get the good blessing by the time that we get to Moses. And we see this repeatedly because it seems like every one of the sons that Jacob blesses get this type of negative blessing. And nothing are the negative blessings that come from Moses. Tremaine, Joseph's oldest son, is described as exceeding in rank and vigor, unstable. You shall excel no longer because you brought disgrace to your father's bed. But by the time we get to the end of Deuteronomy, we see that Moses gives him the blessing to live and not die, with his family to be included in the count of the nation. Hard to understand me. Okay. Would it help if I speak a little clearer? Yes. Well, yeah, I'm going through the phone line system. I'm on my cell, speaking into Addi's cell, speaking to all of you.
Just keep talking, you're fine.
Okay, good. So, does anybody want to share how some blessings have shown and manifested in your life? What kind of blessings do you think you've been receiving lately? Any comments? Okay. Waking up every morning, that's an awesome blessing. Rabbi says that death is 1/60th of sleep. So for us to wake up every morning is truly a blessing. Self-confidence, Darian says. That's an amazing blessing. If we didn't have self-confidence, just think of all the things that we do that couldn't get done. Family support, Sarah, yes. Addi, enough energy to survive the high holidays broadcasting chaos. Okay, yes, I agree. Family support is a blessing. When we have people around us who love and support us, it feels like we can do just about anything. Michael says, Hashem has been blessing me with my best friend taking an interest in Judaism. That's awesome. That is way cool, Michael. I'm glad to hear you have a friend who's interested in what you're doing. Oh, Sarah, I so agree with your dog's love. I have a dog, too. We've had her for 12 years. She is the most wonderfully blessed dog I've ever had in my life. So we have good blessings. But what happens when somebody you love and respect gives you a blessing like what Jacob does? Susie says, my Christian mom surprisingly standing up for me wanting to be a Jew when I was publicly attacked by anti-Semites. Oh, yes, that is awesome, Susie. That's a wonderful thing for her to do. And a new baby, a new nephew for Rebecca. Mazel tov, Rebecca. That is awesome. But what do you do with a blessing like Jacob gave to his son Judah? He said that you are a lion's whelp. Oh, this is a good one. He gave him a good blessing. Your brothers shall bow to you. Neither the scepter nor the ruler's staff will depart from you. The tribute and homage of the people shall come to you. Benjamin, Jacob's favorite son, the youngest son of Rachel. Benjamin, Jacob says, he's a ravenous wolf. In the morning, he consumes his foal, and in the evening, he divides his spoil. blessing like that. Well, we have somebody who says that. Or Joseph. When Jacob blessed his son Joseph, also the son of his beloved Rebekah, and said, his beloved Rachel. And he says to Joseph, he's an ass, and archers bitterly assail him, shooting at him, and harrying him. And yet the Torah says these are blessings to his sons. And how can negative points be blessings? Any comments? Can we take something good out of a negative blessing? That's all he's thinking right now. I don't see anybody responding yet.
There's going to be a delay, so you got to give him a little bit of time to. Okay.
Okay. Helping us overcome the negative things. That's a good point. Perspective. Consuming foes and dividing spoils sounds like a victorious warrior. That's from Alex. Susie says negatives to turn into lessons. Guest is the one who said helping us overcome negatives in our lives, negative things. Those are all very true. Possibly as a warning if we don't change our ways. Yeah. I would see that. Negative. Carolyn says negatives teach us to be more grateful for the positive. That's a pretty common rabbinic response, Carolyn, because the rabbis teach that we would not know or recognize light unless we were familiar with darkness. So there's only one way to know what light looks like is to know what darkness. Oh, Michael, that's an awesome comment. An ass is usually a fairly hardy beast of burden. So it could be that Joseph was able to deal with a lot of trouble. That's a good point. When we think about Joseph's life, and he went through a lot of trouble. His brother sold him into slavery. He was a slave for quite a while in Egypt, but he was able to deal with it, and he came out on top. I'm sorry, Lanny. We'll miss you. Have a good evening. Lanny's leaving us. Alex says, when I was young, my mother said I was like a Russian wolfhound, the most loyal breed of dog, but will take its master's hand off if it thinks it's being mistreated. Wow, I like that. That's pretty profound, Alex. Yeah, I would agree. I saw that as a blessing, you say. And Susie says, I had no idea that was part of Judaism too, knowing darkness to understand light. The more I discover, the more I like Judaism. Wow, yeah. That's a really common rabbinic response. We can't know, and by the same token, we can't know joy unless the experience is there. So it seems that perhaps Jacob wasn't quite off track with his sons. And Alex says, Hashem himself says he created good and evil. That's true. One of the great theological questions in philosophy classes is, if God is everything, God must be good and evil. Because if God is not both good and evil, then God can't be everything. So our world was set up to contain both good and evil. Oh yeah, he did send an evil spirit to Saul. makes a good point, too, that what we view as evil today was not always evil, and is not evil everywhere also. They say that one man's terrorist, for example, is another man's hero. That's true, Susie. It's obvious there can't be one without the other. Well, I suppose, well, maybe there could be, but how would we recognize it?
I'm going to jump in here.
A little bit more.
Okay, Miss Susie, what I'm saying is that what we view as evil today wasn't necessarily evil back in the Torah times. And what we view as evil here in our country is not necessarily evil in other countries. It is a common practice. One of the things is adultery and the death of adulterers, which in this country, if you did what the Torah told you to do, there would be a lot of trouble. Whereas I have friends that come from Lebanon and Jordan, and it is still very much common practice for them to execute, for lack of a better word, the two adulterers. So it depends what society you live in, and you have to remember what society was back then. You know, our view of evil is different than what the view of evil was back then and what the view of evil is in the rest of the world. Okay, thank you, Hannah. Go ahead.
You're welcome. That was an excellent explanation. Thank you for giving that to us. Yeah, different cultures. My son is dating an Egyptian girl raised in Alexandria, and she's got a completely different perspective of how men treat women as to how my son treats women. My son's a good guy, and sometimes I wonder about my son's girl, but that's another story. Anyway, let's look at another one of Jacob's son. Let's look at Simon and Levi. Simon and Levi were paired, according to Jacob, and he said that their weapons were tools of lawlessness. First is their anger and wrath, so relentless, divided in Jacob, scattered in Israel. And yet, when we get to Moses, the Moses blessing says that there is no blessing for Shimeon. A great commentator from the Middle Ages, whose name was Abraham Ibn Ezra, says that there is no blessing given by Moses for Simeon because the sinners in the terrible affair of Baal Peor were Simonites. Yet the Levites got a blessing. The Levites have observed God's word and preserved God's covenant. They shall teach God's Torah to Israel, placing incense in God's presence and burnt offerings on God's altar. So again, we see what looks like it could be a negative blessing on the part of Jacob to these two boys, but one seems to have carried over into a negative blessing with Moses. Oh, I'm being run through the bows now? Wow, okay, thank you. I always wanted to be back on the radio station. Thank you. This must be KJU 95, huh? Great channel. I love this one. And you're right. That is a very common misconception, Alex, that the Satan is equivalent to Hashem's good. But then that takes God and says, there's no way God could be responsible for evil. We'll blame it on somebody else. And we really can't do that in Judaism because we take responsibility for our own choices, and we know that God is one, and so therefore the evil comes from God just as good comes from God.
Can I interject something here?
And we see that everywhere in the Torah. We see that in the prayer, in the Shema, where We learn that if we follow God, if we follow God's will and do this and do that, then we get the rains in their good season, and the grass grows, and the wine is wonderful. And if we don't follow the good side of God, then we get the negative consequences. The heavens shut up their skies, and we don't get the rain and the grain in their season, and the grapes shrivel on the vine, and we don't get the wine. The grain shrivel on the ground, and we're out of bread. So, yeah. Let's see. Satan is a physical world, is my understanding.
The Satan, when he's mentioned, he's actually mentioned as a manifest of our materialistic side rather than our spiritual side. It's a manifestation of our actual materialistic part of our Jewish souls. Yeah.
It's that choice that we have. Do good, get good consequences. Choose bad, you get negative consequences. I think that, my personal opinion, that hell is something that we create here on earth as well. So.
And just a further interpretation on for those who are from Christian backgrounds and other backgrounds. The Satan was taken by Constantine and actually turned into the form of Satan for his purposes, and Satan pretty much didn't exist until Constantine, and he generated Satan from the Satan for his purposes to pursue his expansion of the Christian religion and his beliefs. Sorry.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point, Addi. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Michael said it was probably evil to kill all the Egyptian firstborn, since it's possible that not all the Egyptians held ill will towards the Hebrews. And that, it could be understood that way, yes. But Moses, when he talked to God at the burning bush, at that point in time, God had already told Moses that this would happen. That he would destroy the firstborn sons because of how the Egyptians had destroyed the firstborn sons of the Hebrews. It's more like that, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth sort of reaction. And Susie wants to know, do we create evil by doing it? Do we draw it near to us with evil acts? Well, Susie, there's this thing in Judaism. You can ask 4 rabbis the same question, and you'll probably get 5 or 6 answers back, because every rabbi's got a different opinion, and we see that in the Talmud as they're all discussing things, and it continues today. So, do we create evil? Well, that depends on who you ask. I would say that we are more inclined to draw evil to us the more we told our children that if they put negative energy out into the world, then they're going to get negative energy back at them. So that sounds kind of like what you're talking about, sending out negative vibes, getting negativity back. Sending out good vibrations, well, we just might get those good vibrations back. So by the same token, blessings could be seen as negative and perhaps points of rebuke and, personality traits. And blessings can be seen as a reward. So it depends upon what kind of blessing we get. Okay, Alex has an interesting point. Evil and good coexist, yes. But do you learn laziness, for instance, good work ethic or workaholic? No, I would say none of them are intentionally evil. I think we could take them and turn them into evil, but I don't think that they are that way by choice. I think they're just poor habits that people need to work on. And nurture versus nature, yeah, that could play into it as well. There's just a lot of variety and a lot of opinions, and we have no real answers. God has not exactly come down and given us a book that says, okay, evil is defined as this, this, and this, and goodness is defined as this, this, and this. Pay attention, listen up or else. But what God did give us was our Torah. He gave us the Torah scroll as a pathway to leading a righteous life, a way in which we can improve our world, get along better with each other, and make hopefully good decisions, improve family relationships. We have a lot of good wisdom in here, which is why this book continues to be read century after century after century. That's right, Sarah. Tikkun Olam, the healing and the repair of the world. And you're right, Alex. That is where we were going. So you're welcome. And so there we have our blessings. And let's look at another one of these from Jacob and Moses. Let's see. Yissachar. Yissachar by Jacob is described as a long-boned ass crouching among the sheepfolds. When he saw how good was security, he bent his shoulder to the burden and became a toiling serf. And Moses handed down the blessing that said, rejoice in your brother Zebulon's tent. So we have the blessing from Jacob that says that Issachar decided that security was good. Build a home, become a farmer, work for a living, settle down, be happy, maybe get a wife, a couple kids, a second wife, third wife. More than one wife was allowed back then. And technically, we're past the 1,000-year mark by the great rabbi, so technically, you could have another one now, but we're not going to go for that. That'll open up a whole other conversation. And Moses said that Issachar should rejoice in his brother Zebulon's tents. One's enough for you, Addi, huh? One wife at a time. Of course, there would have to be some rules, Addi. You're going to have to buy every wife their own house on the same block. So the more wives you have, the more property you're going to be buying. Because wives don't share houses very well. You watch that show on television about the sister wives, you know what I'm talking about. They just don't get along well. So, and all current wives have to select your next wife for you, so you might not get as much choice. Serial monogamy, I like that. That's good, Sarah. That's excellent. So, what about Issachar's blessing? How do we view the one from Jacob? That he's hiding among the sheepfolds and good for security. Became a toiling serf. What kind of comments are there about that? And Moses, who tells him to rejoice, tells Issachar to rejoice in his brother's tents. Yeah, that's a good description, Alex. A backhanded blessing. That's an excellent description. And Jacob, our patriarch, seems to be rather good at giving these backhanded blessings. Moses seems to be pretty clear and up front, but Jacob, he's pretty good with the backhanded one. Should we take a look at another one now? How about Dan? According to Jacob, Dan shall govern his people. He shall be a serpent by the road and a viper by the path. Uh-oh.
I think you're still good. Keep talking.
As a serf, being low in class, or we could see someone who toils and has security as honorable. Yeah, a householder today. Somebody who's working for a living, maybe a farmer, carpenter, somebody with a good, honest job. And we say he's a good guy because he's got a house, he's got security, he's not living on the edge, and he's taking care of his family, or she's taking care of her family, as the case may be. Can't assume that all householders are automatically husbands, because they're not today. Any more comments? What about comments on Dan, where Jacob says he shall govern his people, be a serpent by the road and a viper by the path. Moses is somewhat secure there, similar. His blessing says Dan is a lying cub, escaping from the Bashan. So we have the image of a serpent by the road, a viper by the path, and a lying cub. Oh, I like that. From the Bashan is, I think it was a forest. I'll have to verify that. But it would have been like out in the wilderness, so from the forest, where the lion cubs are hiding. Strict leadership, says Rebecca, and fierce protection. Ooh, Alex says he sees two sides to this blessing. Reminding people to watch their actions. An instance where a serpent is good, asks Sarah. Are there instances when serpents are good things to have around? And Alex, yes, you're right. That could be an apt description of some of today's politicians. Infested with rats, a cautionary tale. Yeah. Many people say that the snake at the beginning of the book of Genesis that offered Eve the apple or the pomegranate or the fig, we're not really sure what. A lot of people refer to that serpent snake as, yeah, the literal translation is shiny creature, yes, and they call him the first lawyer in the Bible. Because vipers can bite at your heels. So if they bite at your heels, oh, bringers of wisdom, says Sarah. That's excellent. Serpents can be seen as bringers of wisdom. Excellent point. No, the word snake is nachash in Hebrew, but that's not the word used in the story of Genesis. Let me see if I can find the word that was actually used. Now the serpent, chapter 3, verse 1. Arumim. Arumim. That's the name used for serpent in Genesis. Yeah, so it's not the same word as nachash. Arumim shares a commonality with the word naked, because the Hebrew word for naked, you see here, get the right
first. I'm going backwards here and using the text. Okay, arumim is naked. And the word used for the serpent is arum. Now, in Hebrew, words are built on root systems. And so both the arumim for naked and arum for the serpent share the same root. And I can type those in if you would like to look those up. So this particular serpent has to do with nakedness, with seeing. Yes, Sarah, a 3-letter root. And it's ayin, resh, mem. Ayin, resh, mem. And those are the roots. Those are the 3 letters that make up the root for arum. And arumim, which is the plural for arum. So then you got to think about, excellent, Rebecca, thank you. Thank you for the Hebrew. So we can see the serpent and nakedness share the same root there. Thank you, Rebecca. Excellent. And there, Rebecca's typed in arumim. Which leads one to wonder, what is the connection between this particular serpent and Adam and Eve being naked? What is the connection there? Now, let me look at Dan real quick and see if we have the same word for Dan. Let me pull that out of the text down there. Let me just a second. I have to remember which way I'm going in this text. The word for serpent is used in the story with Dan, and Dan's blessing is nachash. That is correct, Sarah. They didn't realize they were naked until, well, we don't know that it was an apple. We just know they ate a fruit. We're not sure. Christianity has given the idea of the apple to us, but we really don't know. I'm not sure if Dan's related to the judges. The judges came after people went into the land, and Moses led them to the land, and my mind is missing tonight. Moses did not go into the land. Somebody else took people into the land, and then we went into Judges. So Nachash is used for the serpent and viper in the blessing of Dan, not Arum. Yeah, there's a variety of fruits. We really don't know for certain. So again, ask 4 rabbis and get half a dozen different answers, depending upon what they want to look for. But Hebrew does not always translate well into English because it is a root language and it is contextual rather than linear. And so we do find different words like serpent and snake that are different words in Hebrew, but they're not the same in English. Dan means judge. The judges in that time are shoftim, which is right rulers. That's correct, Alex. Should we take a look at one more little blessing here before we finish the broadcast? How about Asher? He's one of the younger sons. he's one of Leah's sons. And the blessing from Jacob says that Asher's bread shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. Now Moses says the most blessed of children is Asher, pleasing to his brothers. He dips his feet in oil. Any comments for Asher? Jacob saying his bread will be rich and yield royal dainties. And Moses saying that Asher is the most blessed of children, pleasing to his brothers, dips his feet in oil. That's correct, Sarah. Oil is very precious. And if you were a traveler and you came in somewhere, it was seen as a sign of respect that the householder would clean your feet and oil them. What is a dainty? Like little tea sandwiches. You go to a tea party and you have like little dainty tea sandwiches, lady fingers, arugula maybe, Eddie Ford. No tea, yo. Yeah, nibbles. That's a good description, Sarah. Little nibbles. Okay, when I have a tea party, Addi, I'll make sure we don't send you an invitation, but we'll call you and send you pictures of all the marvelous food we ate. So you may change your mind and decide you do tea parties after all. So yeah, you'll have rich bread, and he'll yield all these little royal dainties. Fit for a king, they are so tasty and so yummy. So what are your comments on Asher? Super Bowl, taco dip, beer kind of guy. Okay, Addi, we'll keep that in mind. The textures of food. Yes, and food is in case you haven't noticed, food is a very big deal in Judaism. We have this diet. We fast, feast, fast, feast. So yeah, food is important. And we don't have a holiday that does not have some kind of food attached for it. Okay. Yes, you must be thinking about the blessings here. Rich bread. That sounds like challah to me. Challah's rich with all that honey and that sweetness and those eggs and milk. And Moses thinks that Asher is blessed as well. And pleasing. Oh, saffron, yeah. Saffron in the bread. Oh, rich olives, maybe. Maybe Asher was a baker. Maybe he was in charge of food prep in the kitchen and baked. Yeah, you're right. My bread was difficult to acquire. Unlike today, where we can grow the wheat and just send out the tractors and the combines and all the other farming equipment that we have to gather it up and bring it in and, separate the wheat from the chaff and grind it and make it into the bread. And we just have to run down to our corner store and buy a loaf of bread. It was much harder then because they had to gather their wheat by hand, separate the wheat from the chaff by hand, grind it with the grinding mills and get their flour, and finally, after all the hard work, then they would have it to be able to bake it into bread. In fact, the word for bread, lechem, shares the same root with the word for war, because lechem means struggle for one's existence, and they would have struggled for the bread, which was the blessing, one of those backhanded blessings, again, that God gave to Adam and Eve when he tossed them out of the garden. He said that they would have to struggle for their bread, which means nothing would be given to them on a silver platter. They were going to have to work, like the rest of us, for what we want in life, which is fabulous. Okay, I see that we are at 5 after 9. Do we have any additional comments before we finish our formal class here, our formal study?
I would just like to say you have to give Hannah a huge round of applause for dealing with all the technical difficulties tonight. They are not her fault. They're not OneShul's fault, and the fact that she had to deal with this on her first broadcast, she deserves a big, big round of applause and many blessings. It was not easy. I've been on that end, and she deserves as much praise as you can possibly give her.
Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that. And because we're at the end of the book, clap, 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 thank you. Since we're the very last book in Deuteronomy, and we've done the very last reading in the last book, so we have finished Torah this evening, we can say chazak, chazak, zadik chazak. Strong, strong, may we be strengthened together and with each other. I have really enjoyed being here, everyone, and hopefully by next Monday we will have these technical issues resolved.
Oh, we will.
Or Addi's going to be doing phone connections again. So feel free to hang around and chat, but we'll let Addi off the phone now. And you're welcome, everybody, and I've enjoyed being here. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. We appreciate it. Take a deep breath, say a prayer for yourself.
Oh,
you earned it.
Yes.
Okay?
Michael says, don't forget to donate. Remember, punktorah and OneShul run on donation.
Exactly,
And if you've
Michael, thank you.
enjoyed this evening's study, we hope that you will give us a donation of any amount. Even if it's only $5, we need every donation we can get to continue to bring Torah live to you. And holidays, and hopefully we'll see Addi's virtual sukkah set up soon.
It's already set up. It's already set up.
Okay.
Anybody who would like, anybody who wants to join the virtual sukkah or help decorate, it is set up on my website. You can find it on Around the Shabbat table on Facebook, or you can email me and I will send you the actual website. And I'm waiting for all your decorations. I have 2 decorations up, one from Kitsera and one from another gentleman, part of our community. So please feel free to take a look, and we'll be holding Sukkot in there for this year. For those of you.
Addi, are you? Yeah. And Addi, will you be providing dinner for us as well?
You're on your own on that one.
Oh, it's a potluck. We have to bring our own food.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, it's a potluck Sukkot celebration this year. Yes.
Okay, so everybody remember that. Bring your own food to the virtual sukkah on Addi's website. We'll see you there, we hope.
Yeah, and I will post, after I'm done broadcasting, I will post the link to the page. Thank you very much, Hannah. You did a fantastic job under the circumstances. We will get you squared away. As Michael and Hannah said, we need your donations to keep broadcasting. Without them, this is very expensive. Without them, we won't be able to do this for you, and we appreciate everything you can. It doesn't have to be a lot. We appreciate everything you can donate. And so thank you all for showing up and dealing with all the technical difficulties this evening and through the high holidays. Your support and your wishes and blessings have kept us all going, because you can't even imagine what is happening on this end. Anybody who saw my broadcast last night knows how utterly exhausted and drained I am from all this, and it's you guys that keep us going, and your encouragement and your blessings and your prayers, and you're all amazing, just amazing. And the fact that we pull together in these difficult times as a community just shows that what we're capable of, even though we're not showing up in a brick and mortar synagogue. And I can't even thank you enough. All of you are just an amazing blessing to us. You all set, Hannah?
I'm done, yeah, so let's sign off and say,
All right.
Yisrael, see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you all again. I'm going to sign off. I will be in the chat room shortly. I need to breathe just for a second and say a quick prayer of thanks, and I'll be right back in the chat room shortly.